How's everybody doing today?
All right.
Everyone's enjoying that weather, right? All right, so let me go ahead and go through my introduction here, and then we'll get on with the show. So thanks for coming. We do have 2 more of these after this week. At the end of the show, I'll say who's coming up. First off, make sure your cell phones have been turned off so they don't interfere with the video equipment. Also, we do have coffee in the very back. It's usually on an island, but that was removed. We have a little area back there. The center island over here has the raffle tickets. And has everyone already registered for the raffle today? Let me see your hands. Okay, good. Because today we're giving away 5 copies of one of Suzette's cookbooks. Suzette's Alaskan Cooking, and she has been gracious enough to sign it. So, make sure your name is in there, and you have to be present to win. Also, if you are not fortunate enough to win one, she is selling both copies of her cookbook. The Alaskan cookbook is $19.95, and the international is $16.95. And you can come talk to Suzette after the show about that. Also, we have some sales going on across the street. I've got a copy of our little flyer. We've got a lot of, starting to get stuff ready for spring. Gardening tools and all that. They have that across the street, and so just come and see me if you're interested in anything like that. And so I will let Suzette take it away, and she'll explain all the goodies that she's making for you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you all for coming. As he was talking about my cookbooks, the recipes today we're making is out of the International Cookbook. These are 2 recipes from the Philippines, which you don't usually hear too much about, but I think they're underexposed, underused. They're wonderful recipes. I tell people when I sell my cookbooks, don't shy away from the name of the recipe. Polly Tao is like, I can't make Polly Tao. If you look at the recipe, it's really simple. Utilizing wonderful products that are actually in our stores all the time, that people I know walk by and don't, they only knew what to do with it. And so I just have so much fun because this is great. This is a sweet rice. It comes from East Asia. It's grown there, and like I said, it's in Kars, it's in Fred Meyer's, it's in Usagaya, and it's just always there. My mom used to take this and simply cook it in canned milk and add cocoa, and for breakfast I'd have chocolate rice. It doesn't quite taste the same when I make it because my mom didn't give it to me, but it's good and all, but it just doesn't have that. This is a recipe my mom used to make for us. My favorite is the rice cake we're going to make today. It's called a cake, but it's not really a cake. The rice is called a glutinous rice. Oddly enough, it doesn't have gluten, but it is so sticky. It condenses and adheses to itself. So you'll see as we're cooking it up. So that's sweet rice, and everybody I ask, for the most part, has never heard of it. And so I'm going to pass a bowl around so you can look at it and touch it and whatever. I won't use it after that. So we're also going to be using a sweet rice flour. And people seem to be a little bit more familiar with that. They know to make a few things with it. But what a magical product. This is called mochi. In Hawaii, mochi is, you can get mochi everywhere. They eat a lot of mochi. So it can be prepared so many different ways. One of the ways that I like it, it's not as healthy for you, is you make up your dough and then roll it in. You put sweet beans and stuff, and you can sweeten anything. And in the islands and thing, you sweeten lima beans and stuff and can use it in here. Beans are well used for that. Sweet potato also. Sweeten up a little sweet potato a little bit more and put a little bit on the inside. Yes?
What makes it sweet rice?
Yeah. It's just grown like that, like you have sweet corn and regular corn.
Is it sweet?
It is. It's slightly sweet, yes. It wouldn't work so well in a savory dish. Definitely for sweetness.
Yeah.
And so the rice flour, you can make your dough and fill it and roll it in sesame seeds and fry it, steam it. Today we're going to be just on a very simmer, just a very gentle simmer. We're going to be making dumplings with it. So what I did here to get started is I wanted to show you before I put it in. I've got 2 recipes, but I wanted to start this one first because I'm limited on pans. But I just toasted sesame seeds. And it's just a lightly toast on them. I think you can smell it maybe cooking. Yeah, I love the smell. But, you know, a lightly toast. That's going to go for the mochi. That's going to go for, and we're just going to roll it in that. And I'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted the pan back. So.
When you toast them, do you use an oil?
Nope,
Just
a
a
dry
dry-
pan. And make sure you're getting a hulled sesame seed. People use the unhulled, but I find that it doesn't brown up nice. It doesn't like release the flavors and oils as well. I just don't like working with it. And I buy my sesame seeds in the bulk area. Makes them very reasonable. And I use a lot in that. So what we're going to start with is our the rice cake. And this is really simple. So I'm just going to add the recipe's in there, but it's I'm doubling it. So we're going to have 2 cups. So it's going to be 4 cups of the sweet rice. And this we cook in coconut milk, canned coconut milk. And as you buy your coconut milk, you'll find different brands you like better than other brands and such, but most are pretty good. And it cooks right in the coconut milk. And Suzanne, if you will put these other 2, this is my helper, Suzanne. She works with me a lot. We do a lot of different events together. Yep.
On the
I'm
coconut
gonna
milk,
turn it off. Yes. Yes.
on the coconut milk, it comes in sweetened and unsweetened, which do you?
Yeah, sweetened. But if you use the unsweetened, then you're just going to want to use a little bit more of the brown sugar we're going to use. And a lot of my recipes are to taste. You know, it's you know, once you add your sugar, you can taste it and see if you want to sweeten it up or not. And the topping for this is also, it finishes off with a little brown sugar on top. And we'll toast that. We'll either you broil it or might torch the top of that. So the only thing about this recipe is there's a whole lot of stirring because it's like risotto. You just stir and stir and all the glutens break down and it starts to, if you run out of liquid and you taste it and your rice isn't quite done, it doesn't hurt to just add a little bit of water.
Now, didn't you bring Suzette to help you?
Oh, I will. Oh, the poor thing is going to be helping. Yes, because we have all these mochi dumplings to go while she's stirring this. I'll have you guys tasting goodies in no time. So you just have this on a medium, just slightly between medium-high heat, and keep stirring. Turn it down a little bit if you need a break for a second, because it's a lot of stirring. Then we're going to pour our sugar in. And like I said, it's to taste. So about a cup.
When to stop stirring?
Yeah.
How do you know when to stop stirring?
You taste. You'll know your liquid is gone. Yeah, good question. Your liquid will be gone.
Yeah.
And then you check it to see if your rice is done. Then your dish is done at that time. If your rice has still got a little bit, then just add a little water and
You
stir
don't
for a
want to
little
have
bit
it al
longer.
dente.
Yeah. No, not al dente on this.
Is this about a 20-minute stirring, cooking? I mean,
You know, it just depends on the heat that you have it on. You know, it's a little bit different, cooking a little bit faster, just with the slightest of the heat being raised or lowered. So it just depends.
The recipe says wash the rice. Is that for
You don't
general
have to.
dirt or get rid of the arsenic?
It's just a habit. I usually wash everything. This case, I didn't have the kind of strainer, but it's fine. The kind of strainer that I wouldn't lose. It'll be fine. But general purposes, and not a lot. Just that one rinse. You know, you don't want to lose all your starches. Okay, Suzanne. You can take this over. She'll be stirring for a while. I'm going to add a little bit more of this. I can tell how much sugar I want in there by the color of it. And you will too after you make a batch. You'll go, oh wait, that color was a little deeper last time. Or by taste. That's the best way. That way you get it as sweet as you want it. When we top it, I brought a couple finished, so I'll show you topping it and caramelizing the top of it. So now we're going to move on to the mochi so we can get the dumplings going. So it's rice flour, simple rice flour and water, and follow the recipe, but sometimes you'll need a little bit more water. So this recipe is doubled here. So we got 2 cups and then 2/3 of a cup of water. It's a really forgiving dumpling. A little bit more water, a little bit less water, it still works. It just depends on the tightness or the fluffiness of it. And so you can adjust that to your taste also. It's very easy.
You could make your own rice flour with if you had a Vitamix and the rice.
I suppose so. I have never done that myself, but yeah, I suppose so. See, it does need a little bit. I'm going to show you the texture of this in just a second. I doubled the recipe by eye, so. It's hard to write recipes when you're used to cooking by eyes, you know?
Yes. And sometimes the water is fuller than the other day, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Evaporates. I don't know if anybody else noticed, but it is so dry right now. The static electricity and everything is, I don't know if I notice it more because I just got back from Hawaii and it was complete moisture change. A little bit more. All right, that's about does it. So yeah, you just get a nice little dough going around. Yeah, with the camera, sorry. Where it moves. The other side here. It's texture. That's what you're looking for. It moves. Anybody see? Way back there. Okay, now the fun part. And so just by little spoonfuls in gently simmering water. I think I'm going to turn this up just a little bit, You don't want a rolling boil that's going to, break it up. Just a nice simmer. And then we will just use a little technique of you'll know if your dough is not thick enough because it'll break up. I'm going to add a little bit more. Just a little, just to get it right, just a little bit.
So your first one didn't work out.
Yeah, it's in there, but it broke in half. And I don't like that, so we're just going to thicken it up just a little bit
We
more.
want big dumplings. not
Yeah, we want big ones. Oh, that's better. All right. Yeah, you want it to come together a little bit. Much better. So, a little bit tighter. Like I said, that's a good thing to know, is if it breaks up, you need to make it a little bit tighter. So,
And then it will be easier to get the dumpling.
yeah. There we go.
Suzette, I wouldn't have enough patience for that. Oh boy. One dumpling,
When I was a little girl,
2 dumplings.
yeah. I'll get faster in a moment. many of there are you? Half a dumpling each. I'm just kidding. We'll get it. We'll get her. The coating for this that we're going to roll it in is coconut, toasted sesame seed, and a little bit of sugar. And again, however much sugar you want to use. And when I was a little girl, you can get this thing. It's a piece of metal that has serrated on the edge, and you put that on a board, and you sit on the board, and you grate the coconut on it. You can buy them in the Asian markets. So when we made this, we used the fresh coconut, but I used the baker's coconut here, only because I can't count on getting a nice coconut here.
Is there a reason why you're using that technique instead of using, like those little ice cream scoops?
That's what I have here. That's what I have available here.
Would you?
And it's what I'm used to.
Would you use an ice cream scoop? There's no reason
You'd
not to.
still be scooping it out pretty much. It doesn't really let go like you would think it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sticky. That's why it's the 2-spoon method to get it in here. They don't take long to cook though. How's that doing over there?
It's doing good.
Good. Yeah, and you don't want to fill your pan with too many at a time either. This is a nice big pan, so I can do probably about 20 of them.
Is it in one layer?
Yeah, just one layer, and you can, if you want, you can come and take a peek at what I got in this pan. It's easier than me trying to raise this hot pan.
It's full of boiling water,
Full of boiling water. Yeah, see?
or simmering, rather.
Yeah, they sing.
And then when they're done, they
Yeah, they're starting to come up now. Starting. This is a lot of fun with kids. And these are only delicious right away. It's not something that 3-4 hours from now will taste good. The rice cake will hold, but these dumplings won't. They just are right away food, just right then. And they get eaten up. So little mochi dumplings. See, we're getting there. And while I'm waiting for the first batch of dumplings to come up, I'm going to finish putting the coating together. Nice big pan, so I can actually get a lot in there.
What kind of sugar do you use for that?
Regular granulated sugar, but you can get a little creative with that if you like. Raw sugars and such, you could and make it a little bit different, but
Do you still need the sugar if you're using a sweetened coconut?
no, it's to your taste. When you taste this, you'll know how you'll be able to make it work for you. And to play is always a fun thing. I'm teaching you the basics, so you can go with this wherever you want to go. And it's always so much fun. And with all the new products that are coming out, every time I go in, there's something new. I was like, coconut flour was the last one at Costco. I was like, coconut flour, ooh. Things to play with, I've been doing this so long, I tell people that, some things that I learned very well years ago, I have to teach myself again, kind of like riding a bike, so I'll get it fairly fast. I go, tamales, now how does, oh yeah, or especially things that are folded, the different dim sum, it's like folding the, what is the paper the origami. You know, it's like, or napkins. I used to pride myself in how many ways I knew how to fold a napkin. But you forget, it goes away. Wait a minute, I knew how to do that. Okay, while that's finishing that up. So we've got our toasted sesame seeds. I'm going to add a little sugar.
White sugar.
This is just the white sugar and the coconut. I love it. I especially loved in Hawaii the fresh coconut water. Getting them to machete them open was the trick. Come on, open them up. You feel like it, right? Climb that tree for those avocados, please. I could just, I cry in the farmer's market over there.
Be quiet, Suzette.
I know, it's tough, it's tough. I want to bring back as much of it as I can, though. I mean, that's one of my things is, you know, every fruit, this is horrible, every fruit I ate, I saved the seeds. Anything that was interesting to send my son in California so he might be able to grow them. Thinking, are they going to stop me with these? But they didn't. They're clean, they're dried, they're, you know.
Hidden in your socks? In your luggage?
It was with my jewelry. It looked like jewelry. And I picked things like Job's tears and these great big long pods like this that were beautiful. Yeah. And I loved the seeds inside. And when I looked up Job's tears, there was a bowl of those seeds, so other people had used them for jewelry before me. But I just put it in my jewelry thing and I got you. Now, I didn't want to do anything wrong either, but I wanted them if they were going to let me have them. I mean, wouldn't it, you know, I don't know what I could grow of it here, but my favorite thing there, if you guys get to go, when I'm there, I like to cook, and I got to cook parties over there. I did events while I was there. I did book signings and stuff at a store called Island Naturals. But one of my favorite things I grow there that you can't get here so far is purple sweet potatoes. And they're just abundant there. And I just boil them up wash them good, boil them up with the skin on. When you get hungry, you just eat one. They're funny. They look like funny, awkward little fingers. Usually they're kind of small, about that long, and they're just so great. But I was making them in lots of different ways. I wanted, I could,
That would they
yeah.
would be able to
I was
detect that
thinking
one.
with the eye, I could get it. I don't know if it even grow here, but I want to find out that kind of stuff. You know, I want to see what might grow here and what might do well. I mean, potatoes grow here well, so it would probably be in a greenhouse. But
I can attest to that. We have eaten some incredible sweet potatoes.
From Alaskan sweet potatoes, grown here.
I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly where we got them.
Probably
Oh, yeah. I get very excited when, say, Nusagaya gets things in that I know that I love. One of those things is tamarind. Tamarind fruit. Have you ever heard of it, anybody?
Oh, yes. The name.
The sweet tamarind, which is hard to get. When we were kids, we'd get them fresh like that, but just like sweet rice, regular rice. Tamarinds are bitter, sweet. So when we were kids, we're like, you know, now they have sweet. It's delicious, and it's so good for you. It's so full of vitamins. Anti-inflammatory, one of the great anti-inflammatories. So I will use that. I use it in sauces. I'll do sauces for roasted chicken and stuff out of that. If I come and do more classes for you, I'll do more things like this. But I love, you know, covering the sweet rice and the rice flours, and people are eating less wheat and more gluten-free things, so I wanted to cover that. I've never done this particular class, so this is fun for me. So these are almost done.
Where did you go in Hawaii?
I was on the Big Island this time. So I was in Kona and Hilo. And as much as I could, every single thing that I saw that was unusual, I tried to explore that as best as I could. People are trying to feed me McDonald's and things like that. I'm like, you don't understand. I mean, you just don't understand what I want, you know.
But they thought you were homesick.
Yeah. Yes, like anything but anything. I'd rather wait than You know, I had fun. I had so much fun with all the varieties of things. And yeah, trying to find a way to incorporate that or share that. I do have a Facebook page, but I finally kind of got on board late. But I finally started a page for my cookbook and cooking. I didn't want to do a blog. I didn't want to do all that. I really like teaching. I really like, especially just anything, anywhere, anytime. I do so many different kind of events. I was just talking to a lady earlier here that I've done an event with, and one of my favorite things is getting to go out in the Alaska wilds, and yet eat really, really well, and even utilize some of our natural things, but mostly just, you know, getting something that's all Alaskan tasty, you know, out there. And I get like the Wayfarers Hiking Club comes every year, and so I bring their lunch to Hatcher Pass or out to the Eagle River Nature Center and stuff. It's a lot of fun. All right, these are almost done.
How long do you leave them in?
Till they pop up to the top. And these are being a little stubborn. So maybe I'll turn it up just a wee bit.
Chef,
It sometimes seems fast, sometimes it seems slow.
Chef, as a potato farmer in Alaska, sweet potatoes are not potatoes. They're a completely different family.
So-
They're a root, and we don't have the right amount of heat and sunlight to grow sweet potatoes here.
I only heard rumor about them being able to do in a greenhouse. Would you have to be
You
heated?
have to do a lot of humidity, heat, you know, it's gotta stay heat, and then you gotta darken it when we have too much sunlight.
Yeah, too bad, darn. You know, but there are certain things, like I went out to the farms out here, and they had artichokes, which surprised me. And they weren't in a greenhouse. So that was wonderful. So I'm not sure. I've never really got my green thumb about me. I did learn one thing. If I plant anything that's early spring, I do fairly well with that. So turnips and, you know, radishes and spinach, and that does well for me. Anything outside, it's just, I really take my hat off to the farmers here that can, you know, it's just magic to me what they do here in Alaska. So I'm going to have you go over and have them do a drawing.
Oh, okay.
And I'll keep stirring this.
Are the dumplings floating yet?
Just about. I don't know why they're being stubborn. I mean, you know, I'm just,
Do you have any, this is out in the field, but do you have any recipes for seaweed?
I love seaweeds, and one of the great foods, and they might have it at Nusagaya now, is furikake. And it is a mixture that's chopped up, real minced up seaweed with sesame and stuff, and they put it on everything. So I was putting it on everything. So you've got a piece of salmon, little furikake, but they especially put it on their rice to season their rice. So it's not just a glop of white rice. It has the furikake in. And I was going to check to see if Nusagai had gotten it in. Maybe there, that would be my first chance.
Spice? Is it a spice
Well, I would
area,
consider it of an herby spice, yeah, because
Where do they have it in Sagaya? What?
I don't know yet if they do,
Oh,
but
I
you know, I work with them pretty closely, so I could ask them to get it in and even give them names. I did pay attention to that and take names over there so that I might get it here for you guys.
Is that the exciting thing?
Here's your first winner.
Okay, my first winner is Vicki Allen.
I think Brian has the books, the signed books.
Yeah. Brian,
He will be.
Kathy right here will help you. I'm gonna add, you want to taste this rice for me? And see what you think. I'm gonna go ahead and add
What
a
else
little
is
bit
in
of
the
water.
furikake that you mentioned other than sesame and seaweed?
You know, I don't know off the bat, but that's the two main ingredients. It might have, I don't know, with the sesame, I don't know if it has salt in it. Yeah, they're floating. I'm gonna trade sides with you here in a minute. So it just goes with the slotted spoon right over into the... Okay, honey, you're gonna take this over because I'm gonna keep your dumplings coming so that everybody has some.
Did you say it tastes like tapioca or
No,
looks like?
it looks a little like tapioca.
And just a light soda. And then real light coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Onto the plates.
That's what she's cooking over there.
Light food and light oil. If we just add that to it before we run excess. The sesame seeds tend to
Excuse me, Chef, if you were doing that for a dinner party, would they last long enough to say through a meal and to serve them after the meal?
You know, a lot of the dinner parties I do nowadays are just like this. They're eating, enjoying, but I'm cooking and they're watching. So many of the kitchens are open kitchens.
Right.
It's not the old kitchens where I could hide out in the back. It's just, this is a fun one when you want them to be a little interactive. I'll give them to you. Just a little. We're going to have some of this for you to taste in no time. That was a big one, huh?
Yeah.
Drop that one in half if you want. There. All right. How was the rice?
It still needs a little.
What's that?
It needs to cook a little.
Okay, I'm going to add a little bit.
Maybe a little water or milk.
Now see, about the evaporation. This pan is wider, longer, bigger. So you're going to get more evaporation than I would in a normal pan that I'd be using where the moisture will stay. And so that is one of the reasons for using more or less and just doing it to taste.
I didn't know you could cook in a rectangular pot.
I used to be the head chef at the Natural Pantry, and I baked my rice in these.
Yeah.
I make big, giant batches of rice every day to get it started in the kitchen pans.
Do you still do any work with Natural Pantry?
No, I haven't been there, but I loved working there when
And the new one is going to be,
I
wow.
I saw the produce manager carting out all the beautiful ripe tomatillos, and I'm like, you know, they're getting ugly to sell, but they're perfectly beautiful ripe inside the little papers. I'm like, you have to run this stuff by me first. And he would. I had him carting it in, and I mean, I got the beautiful poblano chilies, and they were throwing all this out, and it was just perfect.
And you are recycling, good.
Yeah, well, you know, it's, you know, perfect for the public to buy it themselves.
Yeah, I know.
But a little thing for me to cook with back there, and they're throwing us like, oh no, 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 no. I used to be very proud of the windows in there of all the foods. That was the fun part. Getting to work with whatever I wanted to in that store.
Now, is that rice still have liquid in it, or is that rice dry like you would?
Can you see it?
You're welcome to come
Yeah.
through and see if you'd like.
Oh, it's one. Well,
It looks like
Come on in.
We can't relate.
But you're right on top of it, yes.
Yeah. There you go. So much is going. Yeah, see, you kind of have to see me stir it. I'm just dying for you to try this. Almost.
so are we,
How do you roast coconut if you wanted to, instead of have white coconut, if you wanted, do you roast it like in the oven?
I would do it the same way I just did the sesame seeds here. I would put it in a pan with nothing in it, but don't leave it. Have it on real low, you know, and just get a little toast on it. Doesn't take much to bring the oils and the flavors out. You don't need to, you know, crap. The minute you take your eyes off it, you know, then it'll burn. A minute. So we're gonna get some more of this
we
going.
need another helper.
Come on, Box. you doing over there?
Very well, I'm watching her, she's good.
I'm just gonna pour the whole thing in. There we go.
Wait, over here. Suzette?
Yes.
How have you used the coconut flour from Costco yet?
I have not yet.
Not used it.
No.
What did you use it for?
Yeah, I haven't played with it yet. No, I've got coconut vinegar though. That's delicious.
Coconut vinegar?
Yeah, coconut vinegar is wonderful. That's available in New Suzette. Salad dressings. You know, I will take the stalk of the broccoli and carrots and do really thin julienne, and then make a dressing with that and a little bit of sesame on there. It's fun to play with the different vinegars. You know, I do classes sometimes just on how to make vinaigrettes out of your refrigerator, using things out of there you'd never imagine. You know, that would be so good. Turn this on. Let that finish. I want to serve them up some mochi. Okay.
Where do you do your classes at?
I do cooking class parties. So it can be somebody's birthday party and they want me to come and do Japanese food. I'm a private chef, I'm not a caterer. And big difference is that you hire me and I can do anything you want me to do. I can go anywhere. The only way I could, I can't come up with a legal kitchen out in the middle of the wilderness. And so in order to that, I'm just a private chef. You hire for the day or the weekend or the week, and I can work wherever you want me to work.
Where are your cabins that you rent?
I have cabins out on Knik, and they're just fisherman cabins. They're a little rustic and comfortable and nice, but little fancy little outhouses and outdoor showers, so it's got to be nice out. And it's really meant for people that are, you know, hiking all day, fishing all day. Even goes into hunting season if it doesn't get too cold. And they come home and they clean their fish and they take a quick shower and then have a wonderful dinner because it's about the food. And I'll, you know, clean your catch for you and prepare it up in many different ways and with other wonderful wild things around. And it just depends. Everybody wants something a little different. I just work around that. Okay, we've got some of those to serve up.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. How do you guys usually do this, Kathy? Do I bring it out to them or let them come through?
They make always.
Alicia, our normal gal is not here, so I don't know exactly where we're going.
Oh, we've got all the service ready.
Rob.
I'll just have you come up through the line. Is that okay? And I'll hand you one to taste. I don't want them to get.
We'll pass it out.
Oh, you don't mind?
We'll pass
Okay.
it out.
Thank you. That's good. So I got to keep my eye on this rice. They're ready to go. You need more plates.
Yeah, we'll set out some more plates in just a second. Take the rest of these dumplings out.
They're so cute. This is a great thing to teach the kids how to make them, because then they'll make them for you. There's lots. There we go. There we go. Here's this rice. Almost, just a little bit longer. I'm disappearing down here. That good sweetness. And with the rice cake, you want to leave it plain until you're about ready to serve it to do your candied topping. The rice cake itself will hold a long time, but the candy topping, not so much. It'll still taste good, it just won't be all crispy. There we go. I always feel better when I'm cooking and people have something to taste. Get to eating. And so here we have the finished product of the rice cake. You pour it, once it's finished cooking, you pour it in that and it sets up. And then we simply gonna sprinkle a little of this on.
Do you grease the pan?
Nope. Nope, just that right in there, it sets up. Put a little bit to taste again. Of course, you don't want to get too thick of a topping because it's harder to get to melt. My mom always stuck it under the broiler and just kept an eye on it.
But who has?
And nowadays we've got the fancy stuff here, so. The little torches, but the broiler works fine. Just a nice little, try to get it everywhere. Little coating.
Might want to save your spoon.
Yep, might as well. And then the fun part.
Like it could be a Hawaiian dish, huh?
Well, that's what we eat. A lot of those in Hawaii, yes. We definitely do.
How about double-fisted torture?
Let's see. Oh, you have to go.
Get my edges. Yeah, it's just making it crunchy and caramelizing. That's all.
It's a slap on it.
A long time, surprisingly. I always worry about that. That's why I brought you. I do, but you don't have to.
Do you have more dumplings there?
Yeah, more dumplings ready here, honey. I might have to add a little bit more flour to it. Yeah, the broiler is much more efficient. It's faster. This is just fun.
So I bought one of those. I haven't used it yet, so perhaps I just bring it back.
No, use it. It's fun.
Even you can set something on fire.
Yeah. Oh.
I have a lot of paper in my kitchen.
Well, one more row here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. I'm going to check this aside for a second.
All of us. Nobody over there.
Got you guys.
Okay, we're coming. We're coming.
We just didn't get there yet. I was thinking maybe I should help her toss it.
We are coming.
I've got this is the last batch here, and then as soon as Suzette gets the dumpling going again, I'll get some.
Well, we could cut them in half then.
I think she's got a whole other batch.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's all right. We'll start on the other side when we get to the rice
We'll
cake.
be working on them the whole time. She's doing rice.
We'll start on your side when we do the rice cake.
Once you start everybody going, you gotta
Did you see last time people were taking 2 and 3 that came by, they were really into those croissants.
Oh, croissants, yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I'd have to stir it up first. Yeah. Yeah, I work with birch syrup a lot. You can use birch syrup and you can, but remember you're adding a liquid to it.
Right, but I wouldn't add much, I just want a little taste. And it's pretty strong.
It is. I love it though.
Wait till everybody gets.
Yeah, you can really play with this. Yay. Pardon? I don't. You know, I stick with the basic, as natural as, you know. Yeah, I do arrowroot sometimes, but I really stick with the basic old-fashioned. Really, I'm really a traditionalist. I take the Nouvelle cuisines and all the different cuisines, and I just want to keep the traditions of every country going. It's somewhere getting lost. You go to France and they're making the beautiful, artistic little dishes that are coming out. In the Napa Valley, you'll pay $26, $30 for literally 2-3 bites. 20 people have touched that dish. To me, I'd rather take a picture of it and hang it on the wall. Although it is delicious, it is. It's delicious. But when I go out, I want to eat good food, and I want enough of it. And I don't mind leftovers at all. Because then you really, because a lot of flavors develop in recipes. Get the leftovers, almost taste better. Go to some of these old Italian restaurants in California, and you get the beautiful minestrone, and you get your antipasto, and you get all that. I take the dinner home for the next day, you know.
You know, by the time I get through what they call a starter dish, I'm full.
That's right.
Then I take my meal home.
That's right.
The Portuguese and the Italians along the coast there, the old places, they all bring you a starter dish.
That's right. I used to be a restaurant critic for 3 different newspapers in the Napa Valley. I was syndicated in the Napa Valley. And I would go out and they'd give me, my table would be full. And I'd leave it. Until I heard Julia Childs one day saying, "Oh, no, I take my doggy bag home for me." Then I realized I can do this. I can take it home and taste it the next day while I'm still writing about it. You know, I'm still writing about the food. Now I can look at it again and think about it again without distractions and such.
Catch on fire?
I jinxed myself earlier.
People did some excitement.
I'll give it to you. I did. I don't know if anybody saw it, but I did a television show last summer on ABC. I had a 5-minute segment on some of the Wednesdays. And it was a brand new barbecue. And it was live. We were live. I turned around at the barbecue, I opened up the door, and the front of the bar, I didn't do it. It was whatever they left and hadn't removed off the front of the barbecue. And it was on fire. So I had this, and I put it on there, but then I couldn't take it off and put it on the plate, or the fire, every time I lifted up, the fire comes. And my anchor lady turns around and she's like, you know, without giving it away, what's behind us, my back's to the camera way too long. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, help me. And she's like, you know, it worked out and it wasn't near as long as what it felt like. And she's like, well, we'll have it any minute now. And they cut it, you know, that part out before it was on TV. Everybody that saw it live saw that there was a minute to my back there. But later they had cut it for the TV. But yeah, it was like all burnt up. I don't know what they left on the darn thing, but oh yeah.
Something greasy for sure.
Yeah. So this is ready for me to pour in these pans here, so I'm gonna have my back to you just for a second.
Oh, goodness.
Do we have everybody?
Go back here and get them in back. And me and you. If we're last though. Yeah, no, she's, no, everybody back here is kind
Is that dough working out?
Oh, it's perfect.
Oh, no,
Yeah, check it out.
the lady at the computer, I served her.
What's neat is, we can continue. Yay.
Would you let that set up a couple hours?
Yeah, just a couple hours, it'll set, and it can be a little warm when you serve it too. I wouldn't put it in the refrigerator though. It's fine sitting right outside in room temperature.
Basically, it's absorbing.
Yeah, just don't cover it till it's cooled off, and then you cover it and leave it sit there till you want it. If you make it the day before, it's fine to sit out. There we go. We can start cutting that. Just a second too. So are you liking that out there?
I think you get one now.
Yeah, you can put one on my desk.
It's
What's
different.
Mr.
It's
Sean?
fun.
That's sitting down.
I did not have a chance to break it up. I usually do like this. But it's fine. The lumps make it interesting, a little crunchy. They add the crunchiness. Yeah, it is.
I don't have a
It does set well. It's so glutinous. It's so glutinous. That actually makes it
Gluten-free, glutinous.
going over there. Call me.
Gluten is like sticky.
Yeah.
Gluten is like, yeah, it's called a glutinous rice, but it's not because it has glutens that way. It's just glutinous as in technically glutinous. I do these recipes for you because I really have hopes of you doing this yourselves at home. Make it simple enough for you to do this at home. And then you have friends that go, I can't do it. You go, I've got this. I've got this. Come over for dinner because I've got this.
I was wondering how many people are here because there's just two, I think.
Yeah, I'll ask.
I think we're covered. All right.
Get everybody.
So you talk about your mom cooking. What tradition actually got going here?
My mom, when I was a little girl, her passion, so when she wasn't working, her passion was food. And we lived in the Bay Area, so we would study it. Anything she tasted she liked, she could go home and replicate. So she could taste what they were using, what spices, how much. And it was amazing to me. And I never thought that I'd have that ability. My mother's 94, still living in her own home. I keep catching this on fire. I've never seen it do that. She still lives on her own and she still cooks for herself a bit, but not like before. And she says she can't do that anymore to figure it out. But I can. To a certain degree, I can. And I will. If it's something, I went to a Thai restaurant and they had a sauce, was clear. The chicken came out, had Everclear on it. It was on fire. But the sauce was clear and a little sweet, and it had a little bit of peanut. Not anything like what I had. And what it came down to was that what they had done was they made the traditional lemon tahini recipe for lemon tahini dressing, but they took hummus and added a little of that in it. It gave it substance, it gave it texture, and it made it from really good to delicious. Yeah, so, it's just figuring things out like that. But my mom could cook any of those countries' foods, so I grew up with that. And we never settled on that was good or that was good. We wanted to find the best. And so we found the best Indian food, we found the best. And then when I started catering in the Napa Valley, those are the recipes I used. Those are the recipes that were loved and most requested. And the more I cooked them, the easier I condensed the recipes. When I moved to Alaska 13 years ago, I taught at Allen and Peterson for about almost 6 years. And as I taught the recipes I used in my catering business in the Napa Valley, I was studying Alaskan foods, such as razor clams. So I'd go out and dig the razor clams. The first time I brought them home and I went, oh wow, what do I do with these? They're a little bit different than the norm. And they said, wash them. So I washed them. I ended up with about, from a clam this big. I said, I don't think that's it. Okay, I've got this. So it took a while. But 10 years I worked on the Alaskan one. And I was showing a lady here earlier that a recipe on the back, right here, is a wonderful, this is amazing recipe, and it's easy. Use a muffin tin. So you've got the bottom of the muffin pan is about this big. You cut a little piece of fish, about the width of your finger, little. And then 2 pieces for the side. And then 1 piece for the top, which would be your largest piece. It's about, equivalent to for 1 person. But I put inside razor clam stuffing or crab stuffing. And it's like a surprise. So then after that you cover it with foil, put it in another pan with a little water in it, cook it on 350 for about 25 minutes, and they pop out like little presents, little tamales. And when you cut into it, you've got the surprise of the beautiful stuffing inside. So those are the things I came up with. From rhubarb iced tea, pure rhubarb is delicious. It was an accident how I happened upon it, because I like to cook my rhubarb in a sugared water.
Yeah.
And so as I slotted it out for my recipe, I said, well, wait a minute, it's beautiful. Poured it over ice, fantastic. Real reviving drink. I don't drink much sodas and things. From that to blueberry salsas for fish tacos and stuff. So all the years I've been cooking and my knowledge with, to me, the finest foods in the world, the blueberries, the berries. I'm still learning. My property was covered in cloudberries last year, and I went, is that or isn't it? Or is that or isn't it? I didn't pick them. Came back a few days later, they were gone. I don't know if somebody else needed to pick them. Now I'm hoping for another good berry here. Darn it. But, I've learned a lot of the different ones.
Yes.
Oh, another
Okay,
drawing.
we are ready to
Suzette.
serve this up too, everybody.
Can we do the bowl for drawing?
Have another drawing? Another drawing?
Well, you said you were going to have 5, right?
Yeah.
So, how many have we had?
One.
Well, we better get going.
Better get going.
Yeah, now that we're intermission of taste treats.
All right. Would you pick a winner? Reach right in there and pick a winner? Did you do something? You folded the corner of yours? So you know.
You can call it out, honey.
All right, let's see. Caroline? Oh my goodness.
Yay. Yay. Okay. Sure. How we do it on dumplings? We got everything. Okay, we can both do it. In that.
And we kept our own spoons. Yeah, we got our spoons.
Oh, everybody's got spoons? All right then. We have some extras here.
Oh, that's for serving. Okay.
Now this should be served at room temperature?
Yes. It can be a little warm too, also. I mean, if you're in a hurry, it's going to taste good.
And if you put it under the
But
broiler?
I just don't, and you can probably eat it cold too, but I just don't care.
Oh, okay.
It's room temperature is the traditional.
Are these like Asian?
Should I go? Yeah, all the way.
They sound like Asian names. Oh, maybe. Are these traditional like from Hawaii or Asia?
These are from the recipes are from the Philippines, and these are national recipes.
Philippines.
From the
Oh, okay.
Philippines. You know, a lot of things, like you've probably heard the term lumpia.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, lumpia in the Philippines is in every region is different. It's what they have there. So even though the national is adobo. everybody adobo. So there's two recipes in there for adobo. There's the traditional way we made it, and then there's add coconut milk and Thai peppers, and that's good too. So guess what? When I make a batch, split it in half, take it over here, add the coconut milk and because they're both good. But they're very different from each other. And again, there's like, the way I grew up with it, I couldn't imagine putting bay leaf in it or onion, but depending on the province or the islands or where it's what they have. So they'll argue with you, oh no, it's made with, and I go, yeah, in your area and over here, and it really changes. But with lumpia, in the Philippines, traditionally, for the most part, it's bean sprouts. In Guam, it's called lumpia, but it's cabbage. So again, it just different, different locations, different whatever they have. So the Luzon province, when they make the adobo, they use the coconut milk and the Thai pepper, just a little Thai pepper, just to give it a little bit, not hot. Oh, it's so good. It's like, how could I couldn't believe I found another way to eat adobo that I because you get really used to how you grew up with something. And I've tasted it with, different ways, and it's like, you don't want to say that, but it's you just don't get used to it. It's like a kettle corn. I can't eat kettle corn. People love it here, but sweet, I can't. It just doesn't.
Oh, I like it.
I know. I like it salty
Sweet
and
salty.
buttery. See?
Sweet and salty together.
Oh, this is not working. You're all fast, and I'm also. There we go.
Well, you're dispensing the information.
All right. More plates.
So I put a stack down there in that drawer.
Stack in the drawer. Starting from that side.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things was I was doing demos and book signings at Nusagai, and the produce people, I would use products out of the vegetables and things, and I'd come over and taste it, and they're like, because it's different, and they taste it, go, wow. I said, you need to know when people ask you what it is and what you do with it. You need to know, so taste it. There's a wonderful product I tell people about. It's called the Shayote squash. I probably covered that last time I was here. But it's a squash that looks like a pear. And it's also available here a lot of the time. They call it different things in different places. I call it a Shayote squash. It's all edible. So usually I cut it in half and I take the seed out and eat it. It's a sweet little seed. And it's in my cookbook. It's used in my ratatouille. I use it in my, I can't think right now. Oh, it's also in the International Cookbook, and it's chicken soup with that squash, with a little bit of ginger, is so great. The thing about the squash is it's very high in vitamin C, high in minerals and beautiful things, and then it has long shelf life. So it's like, how we buy these things that are expensive, we get busy, forget about it. It went bad. It lasts a long time. Another way that's great with that squash is you cut it in half, you take the seed out, and I do a bread binding on it. And that is just flour, egg, and then breadcrumbs, and bake them. And in the cookbook, that's what I serve my volcano shrimp over. So it's kind of like a, Cajun shrimp or spicy shrimp, and I pour it right over there. It's a beautiful presentation, and just delicious, and good for you.
If you bend them, it actually makes it a little easier.
Yeah, Shayote. C-H-A-Y-O-T, C-H-A-Y-O-T. They all do that different too, and I'm trying to think. I know what it's called. In New Orleans, they use it a lot, and it slipped my mind what it's called right now. I want to say praline for some reason, but I don't know if that's right.
There's the guy who's doing cooking classes on cooking vegetables over there, or show us how to cook them.
No, I just would go in, and when I set up a little table and make a little something. I think when people get to taste,
I mean, a lot of us need that.
I love that. Yeah, so that's why I come here.
Does the guy do that? Is the guy at all anymore?
I haven't for a while. I've been mostly traveling around and doing the specialty events and teaching children and stuff like that. I'm all over the place. And it's real fun that way. It breaks things up and stuff. So.
That was really good.
My forte, though, is just as long as I'm teaching something new, you know, getting, especially, you know, when I was doing the cooking show on TV, my target audience for me in my heart was young families, just so they know this is a lot easier than they think. That they can actually take the time to set a table and sit down at the table as a family and have a good dinner.
They need it more than ever now.
That's my passion. I mean, it's how, television shows tend to want a pretty young girl to do a recipe, and I thought, no, I want to reach out and I want them to realize it's more like Aunt B. This is easy, you know, this is simple. And especially knowing so many, and don't just stop at a culture, you know, keep learning. When I was little, we had the, gosh, what's the name of the book? These beautiful cookbooks that show where the foods come from, the original, I'll think of the name of it in a second. But it's a whole Time Life cookbooks.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, as a little girl, my nose was in the old time. If you ever see the Time Life, you never see them anymore. But the old Time Life cookbooks usually are in thrift stores and old bookstores and things. Pick them up. And I started collecting them, not realizing at first that there were little recipe booklets that you can find. And you know what? You can get them online, come to think of it. You can find them online. So you can pick what country you're interested in. But for me, you know, to watch the French ones thrilled me with the beautiful displays, you know, the pheasants served still with all the feathers, you know, all the pomp and circumstance. I loved it. And, you know, I watch these shows like Anthony Bourdain, and, you know, they travel, they go there. And a lot of these, there's a reason that they've cooked these foods for years that way. You know, we can make them healthier, you know, under our circumstances right now, we can afford to, you know, get rid of the fat, and maybe we don't get as much exercise. They used to work hard and needed that fat. That's balancing our diets with what we need at the time we need it, you know. If I cooked further up north where it's cold, I'd probably leave more of it in, you know, rather than because you need it.
I'm impressed with the Thai cuisine.
Yeah, oh, and Korean, and then Moroccans, and I love foods like that because it'll teach you a lot about food preservation. So, and that's something else that I think is very important here in Alaska. It's expensive, we buy it. Hikes, how to keep it, that's something that I teach. So, from preserving mushrooms to preserving, like I tell people, avocados, freezable. They're freezable. Cover, cut it in half, saran wrap it, stick it in the freezer, use it, you know, within a week or so, but it comes out, looks like you just cut it in half, preserves it. Mushrooms, the old-fashioned French way is cooking a little bit butter or oils that you might use, the olive oil, and a little bit of seasoning of your choice or not, and then put it in little packets in your refrigerator that way to throw it in. So you're preserving your mushrooms. But when I started studying things like Moroccan cuisine and stuff, then you can preserve lemons. And not only, it just changes the whole dynamics, and you can use the whole thing. So it's preserved lemon and sweetened. So that's a Moroccan dish. And so I do like chicken with the olives and the preserved lemons and
Mediterranean, a lot of Mediterranean dishes too.
yeah, and you know, just the other thing I can do is I can go into your garden and I can show you what to do with things that most people throw out. Some of the best food in the world. For example, you bring home radishes from the store and it's got this beautiful greens on it. What do you do with them?
Cut them away.
Throw them away. That makes the most wonderful cream of radish green soup. You do want to blend them because you don't want a big, you know, you do want to blend it up, wash them really good. Use it right away because within 2 or 3 days they do start to deteriorate, especially if you keep the rubber band on. I usually open it up, wash it, lay it on paper towels in a little container, and I get that that gives me another day or so to work on it. Once I make the soup and blend it up, then I've got another day or two to serve it, and I'll use it as a base for roasted scallops or something. Just delicious, and it's not as potent as you think. It's very mild, but it's flavorful. So a little white pepper in there, it doesn't take much, but it's full of vitamins, and all those greens are going in the waste basket. But that's so many things in your garden are that way. People don't make use of.
Another thing about radishes, if they do go to seed, like mine always do, and they grow the big stalks, all that one stalk from that one radish will produce all these little radish pods, and those are, I just cut those up, and they're really good. They're a milder radish flavor.
Really? It's like pepper plants. Take a few of the young leaves, the extra leaves, if you're thinning it through, and throw it in your chicken pepper pot. It's good. And a lot of the herbs, a lot of the leaves, you fry them in a little olive oil, turns them into a potato chip. I used to use it for decoration around a brie, like that was original way back when. Now everybody knows about it, but basil leaves especially I would fry in a little bit of olive oil and then serve it. They become translucent and crispy. A little bit of sea salt on it. Sage is another one they do, and of course I use sage in my international cookbook. It's a missing ingredient in there, but it's for the saltimbocca. It needs a sage leaf in there. So a lot of the herbs, yes.
You mentioned earlier making blueberry salsa. Do you do that with fresh and frozen? You can use both.
Yeah, you can. Fresh is preference, but yeah, you want to, I rinse the frozen ones. You don't want to if they've gotten all mashed up too much. You can. You really can. It's really a forgiving recipe too.
Why do you rinse the frozen ones?
Pardon?
Why do you rinse the frozen ones?
You don't want it too soupy. You don't want it, too. Your salsa.
Oh, for the salsa. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want it to be too salty. I just grill up my fish, grill it up or in a pan, fry it up a little bit, heat up the corn tortillas, and with that blueberry salt, magic happens. Especially halibut. Although I use salmon too, but a magic thing happens with the blueberries in there, and that's it. You don't need the cheese and anything else. It's just those.
Is that in your cookbook?
It is. It's indeed. The blueberry bread puddings. Bread puddings are covered in there, and savory bread puddings. So a way to use your leftover breads, and what I always tell people is, if you use leftover sourdough bread, it's very, very good. If you use leftover, your croissants got dry on you, let them dry. Let them finish drying. Break it in pieces. Use that for your bread pudding, and it'll be like a souffle. It's so light, and it's like, whoa. So any varying degree. But now, croissant is buttery. I would use for a sweet bread pudding. But we call it a strata, and you can take your leftover little ham or little bacon or cheese or green onions and anything else, mix it up, and you make a strata, which is a savory bread pudding. Instead of potato or rice or stuffing or all the things, you've got this beautiful savory bread pudding. So did everybody like the rice cake? It was a little different. Thank you. I'm so glad. And I hope you all make these dishes and try some of the others in the cookbook.
Oh, should we do a drawing? We still have a few more
Yes, we can do drawings.
Tell me again, would you pick a winner? You just cut it in half and then wrap it in.
Or you can make a guacamole.
Okay, but if you want to keep them whole.
Yeah, keep them, cut it in half, take the seed out. I found that using, take the seed out, and I find that you don't have to even do this. That most people use lemon. I have a spritzer in my refrigerator. It's got a little water and lemon juice in it, so I can spritz things if they don't turn brown. So my pears or anything I want to cut up and use for dessert, I spritz them with a little lemon water. But avocados, I tend to always be using tomatoes with them, so I'll just take a piece of tomato and wipe it with them, and it keeps it from browning. So that helps. And then I just take saran wrap, coat them and press down in where the thing is, so get all the air out, and then put it in a Ziploc baggie and freeze the whole thing. And then you just pull it out and make your salad.
And how long
will that work? I would say up to a week. It could be longer, but just check on it. You just, depending on how much you move stuff around in your freezer and how much room and air it has around it, depending. But a good week. So if they're going bad and you can't use it, you don't want to go to waste, that's a good way to do it.
Bobby Rich? All right. I don't think Suzette, do you have some books with you that
I
people wanna
do,
buy
and
them?
if you
Okay.
have them on you and you haven't won a prize, please
Bring
pay
it back.
for it before you leave. And if you come over to me, I'll sign, and Suzanne will take the money for the cookbooks.
And can you buy them online too?
You can, Amazon.com, and they're in quite a few stores around.
Zucchinis have them. I seen them out there.
Where's that?
That zucchini new cooking store out off O'Malley.
They do?
Yeah.
They have my
them in there.
cookbooks?
Mhm.
Zucchinis?
It's called zucchinis. Well, it's a new cooking store.
Oh, and they have my cookbooks there.
Yeah, I saw them in there.
Interesting. I will go, once in a while I'll be looking for something that I need, like my press release. And I'll see all these things and it will say some dog show or something that I participated in. And I'm like, what? No, I didn't. And I was like, and it was because somebody had bought the cookbook to donate for a fundraiser or something and it gets included.
yeah.
But at first I'm like, where was I? Trying to figure it out.
Deep in there. Stir those up.
Okay, so for the last two,
oh boy,
Ray Guse, G-U-S-E. Okay. And then final winner, Norma Stanford.
Well, especially the couple we've seen for them up here.
Can you say something about,
Pardon?
can you say something about women entrepreneurs? The group, you do something with this organized group?
Yeah, the We group here, run by Jennifer Christensen. And I usually just cooking stuff for them, but it's where women get together to, help each other out. And from what I remember, they keep it limited, so whatever your business is, they don't have just a bunch of them, that it's other businesses that can bring. It's very interesting. If you want to know more about it, I'll give you her name. If you're online, find Jennifer Christensen. And it's called the We group. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, did you say that some of your cookbooks are sold here at the
We'll be back in 2 weeks and it'll be Franz Week.
If you have a cookbook on you and you didn't win it, Jack's Friends. Yeah, I like
Oh, I love them. He doesn't cook those. If it's that guy, if it's prawns, he cooks the healthy stuff.
Oh.
It's got two sides of it.
But he has such a good sauce that he serves with it.
Oh, yeah, I love those. Those are excellent.
But I haven't had any since I had a heart attack.
He does the almond stuff. He stops and gets the water, coming up here, and then we grind almonds and make almond milk.
Oh,
and
cool.
last time he made something, I thought it was just hideous, but I think he wanted the chia seeds.
Oh, really?
I have
But he's always fun.
6 cookbooks out if anybody has them.
Here's one right
An
here.
art one.
No, that's mine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Do you still have
Oh, you won. Oh, yes, of course. And if you won a cookbook, please let me sign it.
Yes.